But we all know it's not enough for him or any of our politicians to visit Loblaws or post lip service on social media, as Carney and Ford and Poilievre all did yesterday. We're here with you, Jewish community. This shouldn't be happening in Canada. Well, it's happening in Canada. It's happening in Ottawa. It's happening in the store where we all shop. Damn right I'm scared.
That's the voice of Cantor Jason Green, spiritual leader of Ottawa's Kehillat Beth Israel synagogue, using his Sabbath morning sermon to reflect and console his congregation in the wake of the stabbing of a member of the Jewish community, attacked in the produce aisle while she and a friend were shopping last Wednesday afternoon at the Loblaws on Baseline Road in the College Square Mall. Ottawa police soon arrested a suspect and charged a 71-year-old man from Cornwall. But the stabbing was later upgraded and classified as a hate-motivated crime once investigators checked the man's long history of anti-Jewish and anti-Israel posts on his social media accounts. It's not clear if the victim was wearing anything that signaled her out as Jewish. 2 days after the attack, Cantor Green went to the Loblaws store on Friday before Sabbath to meet there with Ottawa's Mayor Mark Sutcliffe and the Jewish Federation's CEO Adam Silver. And while the community has been assured that Ottawa police will step up patrols over the coming days, the stabbing has left many people feeling both angry and scared. Green thinks the federal and provincial governments and the justice system aren't doing enough to permit Canadian Jews to live openly and safely while they do ordinary tasks like buy groceries.
And so when I mentioned lip service, there was a post from each of those top politicians on Friday afternoon saying, we stand with the Jewish community. The Jews shouldn't have to go through this. Well, okay, what are you doing about it?
I'm Ellin Bessner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for Wednesday, September the 3rd, 2025. Welcome to North Star, a podcast of the Canadian Jewish News, and made possible thanks to the generous support of the Ira Gluskin and Maxine Gronowski-Gluskin Charitable Foundation. In today's episode, I'll bring you my conversation with some Jewish leaders in the community of Ottawa, including Cantor Green, who knows the victim and wants the community to come in big numbers to synagogue to seek out support and solidarity, and also with David Roytenberg. He's the editor of the Canadian Zionist Forum Substack blog and was himself shopping in the Loblaws store when the attack happened. But first, here's what we know about the victim and the suspect. She is recovering at home after being treated in hospital for what police called serious injuries. We know her name, but she's asked us not to reveal her identity for privacy reasons, and we're respecting those wishes. The suspect is 71 years old, lives in Cornwall now, but Joe Rooke is from Hamilton. He used to live in Ottawa for 4 years, from 2006 till 2020. He's been posting his conspiracy theories and anti-religious views for years, but after October 7th, he turned his attention and hatred to anti-Semitic posts targeting Jews and Israel. Rooke's been in custody since his arrest. He has not had a bail hearing yet. His next court appearance is Friday. For the latest on community reaction, I'm joined by Cantor Jason Green and David Roytenberg.
Thank you, Ellen.
David, how are you doing now? You were there. Just off the top of your head, how are you feeling?
I'm alarmed at the broader situation, but I spent a lot of time thinking about that. In the moment, it wasn't. We didn't fully understand what was going on. They just announced that the store was closing, and to go and check out. So we did that. While we were checking out, the attendant at the self-checkout told us that there'd been a stab, right? So that was alarming. But we didn't know more than that until we got home. So we were there. We didn't see anything or hear anything, but but they blocked off the main entrance. They sent everybody out through the employee entrance. So it was fairly clear that whatever had happened either in or close to the entrance, and that's what we get. But to answer your question, I'm worried. I've been thinking and writing about what the war is doing to Canadian Jews for a couple of years, and this is the closest to home that it's come, but it's something that we've all been watching throughout the war, I think.
You said it was near the front. Can you just logistically explain for any of our listeners outside of Ottawa who maybe never been to that store where this happened and where you were?
Sure. So the store is laid out with the kosher section at the back. It's good. There's an area that sells fresh meat, and it's the only source for fresh kosher meat in Ottawa. And then there are a couple of aisles, I guess 4 rows altogether on both sides of kosher products. One aisle has fridges, and they sell cheese and milk products and that sort of thing. There's a frozen section. So you can get a lot of kosher items in that store that you can't get anywhere else. And especially the kosher meat. And so that's where Jews who care about kashrut should,
Okay, so you weren't there. You had been there and then you left, or where were you? No.
No, we were further along, actually still at the back, buying milk when they made the announcement. But as I understand it, the attack didn't take place in the kosher section. Must have taken place either
Right in the produce section.
in the produce. Yeah. So the first thing you enter as you come into the store is the produce section, and that's where it happened.
Did you get to pay for everything, or you had to dump it and leave?
No, they gave us time to pay.
The hope at first was this was just a random crime, maybe a disillusioned person, a mentally unhealthy person. It wasn't a mentally unhealthy person, but the news developed, the investigation continued. Jewish Federation of Ottawa got involved. I connected with the family. We found out that quickly, thank God, that the victim was able to go home from the hospital very quickly. But thereafter, the police, I guess, official word came out that this was in fact a Jewish hate crime, that the person knew of Loblaws as a place where Jews shop and maybe didn't even understand that it's not only Jews that shop there and that the kosher section is small compared to the rest of the store. It serves a large community. And maybe that anyone that the assailant could attack would be Jewish. There isn't any clarity that the specific victim was chosen for a specific reason. But of course, along with the police investigation, it also came out that this person is a rabid anti-Semite, and all the social media posts point to that. But there isn't anything specific saying that he targeted this particular person.
So this happened during the week. Then it was closed.
Yeah, because my son was there just a couple of hours before, so it would have been early to mid-afternoon, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. So there. Yeah.
Hey, why was your son there? Oh my God!
Just shopping. We shop there. We're just picking up some groceries. He didn't see it. He was there an hour or two before the event happened.
That's a good thing. And now, how are you feeling, Cantor? I watched your Shabbat emergency 6-minute.2 sermon, and I heard some very strong words from you.
Yes.
There was anger, there was disappointment. Why did you feel the need to express those?
I mean, I'm a community leader, so it's important for me to represent the congregation and the community, to console, to be there as a sort of a facilitator for allies who would want to stand with us, which was the case on that Shabbat morning.
Yeah, tell our listeners who came to services.
Yeah, so we had MPP Chandra Pasma, we had City Councilor Lane Johnson from College Ward, we had Pastor Richard Long, who's the pastor of One Way Ministries and Vineyard Church on Greenbank here in Ottawa. And they wanted to show their solidarity. Knowing that they were coming was a piece of it, but just when something like this happens, I know my feelings, and I know I'm not the only one thinking these things, and the community needs to be together and well represented in support and so forth. And that's my role at the congregation, as well as I feel my responsibility to just to put a name to the feelings, to state what I believe should be some action steps, what I believe, how I interpret the language that comes out on social media from politicians and so forth that seem hollow or empty, and those that seem, and to praise those that seem helpful and action oriented. And I know that a lot of community members were hurting, and because this is not an assault on, somebody in Loblaws. This is now too close to home to not speak up and to not be together as a congregation, and to not address it would be a missed opportunity for bonding together tightly as a community over such a horrific event.
Okay, in your sermon, you were a lot more succinct. You said, quote, "Damn right, I'm scared." And you called Carney and Polyev and Ford's tweets lip service. Can you please unpack this for me?
Yeah, so I mean, we've regularly been, the Jewish community's regularly been under attack from all sides in anti-Semitic rhetoric, anti-Semitic actions. The Capitol Pride Parade was not, thankfully, a Jewish happening, but it certainly flies in the face of Jewish safety, feelings of safety, and goes against our values generally, having to do with Palestinians and their cause. And so at each general event where there is something that comes across as anti-Semitic, our leaders say the Jewish people are part of the community. They should not be made to feel insecure or unsafe in Canada. It's not the way Canada is, and yet it is. I grew up in Montreal. I never experienced anything, not a single anti-Semitic trope in all of my childhood and teenage years through university and so on. Perhaps I'm lucky in that respect, but I've never seen anything like this. And it's, like, as I mentioned, it was probably clear by the way I was gesturing. It was my front lawn that had a swastika drawn in the snow over the winter.
Did they ever figure out who did it? You don't have cameras?
No. So
it's progressed from swastikas in the snow. But think about this, David, you might remember Rabbi Sher had a death threat. That was the first beginning in October of 2023 and they caught the guy and they charged him. Then you had bomb threat. There's been the protests. There was the bomb building plot that the RCMP uncovered quickly before this kid blew up the JCC, right?
Right. Molotov cocktails thrown at synagogues, school events. The list, as you said, as I said in my sermon, goes on and on.
The demonstration that invaded the Jewish community campus, among other things, blocked access to the retirement home there. It seems obvious to me anyway that they want Jews to feel afraid. They want Jews to feel under threat. To me, it's the main goal. It doesn't do anything for Palestinians. It's happening here, not in Israel. They want Jews to feel shamed, excluded, marginalized. It's not. They're not hiding it.
So the lip service comes from these politicians saying Jews shouldn't be made to feel that way.
But they don't do it.
Now what? Like, what are you doing about it? Have we seen any, in these public displays of protest and hatred that are beyond protest? They are not, they're heading, and sometimes clearly, beyond awful but lawful. They truly impinge on the rights of Canadians to exist here, Jewish Canadians, any Canadians to exist in a sense of security and peace. The world hates the Jews. They always have. It's always been under the surface. And with the government's lip service and not ever doing anything about it in particular, no laws that actually protect us, no empowerment of police forces, law enforcement to actually shut down hate in any of its forms, intimidation, to shut that down. They're just not doing it. And so we have to keep calling on our government officials and our leaders and our representatives to start taking action.
Cantor, did you have security fencing? I assume, I'm not sure this is fair, but it comes from the old SIP grants. The security grants are called CCCP grants now or whatever. Or is that all paid for by the shul? Like, how are you?
No, it's a part of that. It's a part of that as well. It's also the shul's own investment because this is something we have to do. It's no longer a case that, this doesn't happen in Canada. This doesn't happen in Ottawa. It does.
So are you thinking that this is an internet problem? More so, he doesn't even live in Ottawa. So I don't understand how for 2 years this guy's posting all this stuff with obvious hate speech in there, and they're not doing anything. The Cornwall Police, the RCMP, why aren't they shutting him down?
If I can jump in there, I see this kind of thing in public fora on the internet all the time. If they tried to, I guess, take consequences against anybody who says this kind of thing, they would need a lot more police and whoever is monitoring the internet. It's become huge. If you go looking for it, like I do, I go and I post pro-Israel stuff, and the kind of venom that I get back, like in non-Jewish spaces, is horrific, and nobody speaks out against it. Right? It's become normalized, and I think to some extent the authorities have also adjusted, and they just see it as part of normal political discourse until somebody actually takes an action. Right? I'm sure you could find 100 people like this guy if you went looking, and nobody knows which one is actually going to get a knife and go kill somebody. The immediate problem is the violence and insecurity for us. But the broader problem is that there's a social movement that's kind of sweeping our society that is demonizing Jews, right? And there are always going to be crackpots or, vulnerable people or unstable people who will take the cue and act on it. The problem, those people are always going to be there, but they're not going to be attacking Jews without this massive wave of anti-Jewish propaganda that everybody has been consuming for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Your mayor was at the Loblaws. I'm watching the videos on Friday to show solidarity. You mentioned you had some politicians come to the synagogue. The city of Ottawa was going to be debating bubble legislation.
So,
How would this have done anything? Do you need bubble legislation outside of maybe outside of kosher Loblaws? I don't know.
well, I think that's what David is saying. It takes so much in terms of resources, in terms of human power, in terms of investment around infrastructure, security infrastructure, and there are so many places. Like we Jews are less than 1% of the population in Canada, and
How many in Ottawa?
about 14 or 15,000, and some of those unaffiliated, so we don't even know where they are. But they're here, we're all here, and we're all over the place. And we are part of the communities, and so while you can stick a bubble around a JCC or a synagogue, that's not the only places we are.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part.
If I can jump in as well, and bubble legislation, I support it, but it's there to contain lawful protest, right? Bubble legislation isn't going to stop, somebody with a knife. It's not intended to, and it won't.
Can't protect everyone.
Meanwhile, school starts this week. Synagogues are ramping up for Sunday school or Hebrew schools or regular full-day schools, and then the holidays, the high holidays are coming up. Let's try to explain to our listeners what this does and how people can feel safe to go to these places. What should people know in Ottawa, and what are you going to do about it?
The thing that we can do is we can show our congregation that we care, that we are taking care of security. We can easily show the plethora of cameras that we've installed. They'll see them. We don't specifically announce exactly what all of our security plans are because for obvious reasons. So we don't talk about everything. So some of the security is very, very visible with security guards and volunteers as well. There's some security that we don't.
Training now because of this, or even more than you would normally be doing for Yontif anyway?
Well, over the past little while, we've ramped up training to begin with. It's part of what we've been doing. And of course, professional security is a large part of what we do. But that's at the congregation. Things have not gone as well at universities, and that's a huge issue. We have a lot of families with people that age going to university, and there's a lot of apprehension and nerves being stretched to the limits.
David, how about you? What do you think should be done?
The contagion spreading through our culture has to be has to be stopped, and that's easier said than done. It would be nice if our political leaders were out doing that rather than kind of trying to keep their heads down. Again, this is my assessment. There was a statement published on social media and on one of the Facebook groups that I follow by B'nai B'rith, which apparently was signed by 32 Liberal MPs, right? This attack in Ottawa. Well, if they can only get 32 members of the government caucus to come out against the stabbing of a Jewish woman at the Loblaws, then, I'm grateful to the 32, but, oh my God, right? Why isn't it every single one? We're just living in a different era now.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And so somebody that, a politician should be more affected by any person being stabbed for any reason that we know is hate driven, because we all know that Jewish hate is the oldest form of hate in the world, and it's never the last form of hate. It all starts with Jewish hate. And so those politicians that aren't signing on should be afraid for their lives too, for whatever they believe in.
Because this is a huge escalation. Okay, the bomb threat, that was a big one where they got the kid. Now someone actually got hurt. What are you hearing from your friends, your congregants? Are they going to stop going to these Loblaws? Are they going to think twice before they go to an event? How is this impacting your own and your friends and community's lives?
I have reluctantly started wearing a ball cap in public to cover my kippah, which is something that I've been basically my partner in life has demanded that I do that. My inclination is to carry on and go on with my life, which is what the Israelis do, right? The Israelis are used to this. It's basically that's my inclination is that you're not gonna change my life. You're not gonna scare me. But I'm not sure if everybody is like that. I know that there's an accumulative effect of these things that wears us down, right? And we do start adapting little ways, and before you know it, we're kind of lurking in the shadows for fear of what someone might do. That's what I worry about.
What about yourself, Cantor Green? You were mentioning you had a dilemma as well, being a visibly Jewish community leader, whether you should or shouldn't wear your kippah and stuff in public.
I don't think that solves more problems than it causes. Certainly not for one's mental health as a faithful Jew. And the other thing that we hold in our hearts is that random things can happen, and now we're seeing more targeted things happening to Jewish people. And so, do I want to put myself at risk of my family losing me because I need to buy a slab of kosher cheese? I don't want to make it sound cause and effect. As a community leader, it's my responsibility, but it's also, I'm a community leader because I believe that I have to stand up and be counted and show our community that hiding isn't the way to sustain a Jewish community. We put up a sukkah every year. We are visibly out there in the community demonstrating, standing up for Jewish rights and Canadian rights. I wear my kippah, and I'll wear a yellow ribbon, and I wear an Israeli-Canadian flag pin. I do not hide it, and I think it's important to stand up and be counted.
All right, last words to either of you would like to just say what you hope this next week will look like as people go back to school and back to the office if you're away and prepare for Yamim Noraim.
Yeah, well, I hope people will continue to shop at Loblaws. That's where we have to go to live our Jewish lives in Ottawa. There's really no other choice. So, we just have to carry on with our lives, and that's what we'll do.
They beefed up security there too. They had security guards, right?
Actually, I did see security there when I shopped after at Loblaws. There were a couple of security guards walking around, but still, that's not going to prevent it really happening again. It's not going to solve the problems, but at least there was a security guard there for the immediate time being. We'll see how long they stay there. From my perspective, I believe it's important to get back to life and to Jewish practice. And my message to the community is come be together with your community for Rosh Hashanah. Certainly with the safety and security renovations that we're currently doing in our synagogue are visible, and the security guards are visible. We've been messaging consistently that KBI is as safe a place as it could be, and that we truly need to be together at this time. Come and be inside with us, safe, prayerful, hopeful. The sound of the shofar is a wake-up call, and it brings us into the season of repentance, the season of community, the season of family, the season of reconnecting with God. And that's what we need to do in this case. We need to be faithful together. If anyone needs some time to just talk about feelings, to talk about concerns, to talk about the situation in the universities and where kids may be heading off this week and starting their new university careers or continuing them, that I'm here as a resource for pastoral care, and KBI has many caring people, of course, who will warmly welcome those people over the holidays.
And your bird, too.
Yes, my bird, too.
What kind of bird is it?
We've got 3 parrots, actually. I think
emotional support parrots. I love it.
My emotional support parrot. Yeah, that's Riley. He's my 22-year-old. What is he? He's a Senegal parrot.
22 years old. Poo, poo, poo. That's right. What do you say? What do you say for parrots? Admea vesrim. Some of them could live a long time.
You have to will your parrots. They can live longer than the people who can generally keep parrots. So.
Well, that's kind of like a shofar noise in the background. So your parrot is helping. David, thank you very much for being with us on the CJN's North Star. Cantor Green, again, you and your parrots. And is there any message that when you spoke to the family, they want the public to know?
Yeah, I mean, the main message was of privacy and prayer. They would like prayers, but the message of needing prayers for the individual really quickly transitioned to being prayers for the community and prayers for peace, grand peace in the whole world. It's not just about our community, but certainly I believe it starts with the Jewish community. Thanks for having us.
Bye.
And that's what Jewish Canada sounds like for this episode of North Star, made possible thanks to the Ira Gluskin and Maxine Granovsky-Gluskin Charitable Foundation. To watch Cantor Green's stirring sermon, go to the link in our show notes. And one clarification on the number of Liberal MPs who signed Anthony Housefather's letter calling for action on anti-Semitism. Housefather says the letter was originally supposed to come just from the Liberal Party's Jewish caucus, which includes 6 non-Jewish MPs as well, with ridings where Jewish voters live. The signatures were gathered quickly on a long holiday weekend and soon expanded to supporters from other MPs who asked to sign on. And he expects more will sign on going forward. Our show's produced by Zachary Judah Kaufman and Andrea Varsany. The executive producer is Michael Freeman, and our music is by Brett Higgins. And thanks for listening. It's good to be back from vacation.